Everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Centennial Conference Corner. My name is Amber Thomas, and today I am joined by Jen Shillingford, who is a former coach and director of athletics for Bryn Mawr College. How are you doing today, Ms. Jen?
I'm doing very well.
It's great to have you. It's great to see you.
Good to be here.
So you have played a really active role in field hockey. What was your introduction into sport, and kind of what did the pre-Title IX era look like?
It was interesting. We didn't have any transportation other than cars, no vans, no buses, and certainly not a plane. We did our own laundry. We sometimes bought our own meals. We didn't have any showers because we didn't have any locker rooms. Other than that, it was perfectly normal, but there was no governing body of women's sports at the time when I went to college, and not until 1971. The best you could do would be to have an undefeated season. That was about it. And, in 1960, only 1/3 of the institutions, college and university in the country, had intercollegiate sports for women. 1/3. And of course, everybody now has grown up with it.
That you did to help post Title IX is you created the Snell Symposium over 20 years ago. What made you create the symposium?
I started out at Ursinus for 5 years. Then Paul was in the service, and then went to Immaculata for 12 years, and then came to Bryn Mawr. And it was at Bryn Mawr that I finally caught on to the fact that we had some problems. And I discovered that by reading the Acosta Carpenter study. This is a longitudinal study of over 45 years, I think, and it had just started. And what it said was that 90% of athletic directors or athletic programs were championed or directed by a woman. In the beginning, and that number dropped in 2012 down to 18%. That's a huge drop. That caught my attention. And there were similar problems with coaches. Coaches went from 90% down to about 46%. So I began thinking about it, and I was it was in the 90s, and I had been to a lot of NCAA meetings. I'd been to AIW meetings, and I just realized that everybody can do a little something. I thought, what can I do? And I thought, well, I'm not sure. And then Ursinus, by complete accident, contacted me and said, would you consider holding the Snell chair? We had a professorial chair for Eleanor Snell, for whom it's named the symposium. And I said, okay. And I made this wonderful many-page thing and sent it off. Well, I heard nothing. And the interesting thing is I had done it on what was called a floppy disk. And when I went, they finally contacted me about 1998 and said, yes, we'd like to do that. Send us your proposal and explain it. Well, I couldn't even find the proposal. So I wrote something that really worked. And it was simply what we now know as the Snell Symposium. We know that it works because over 50% of the young women who come to the symposium are involved in athletics, and many of them in the Centennial Conference. So we'll keep it going. NESCAC has done it as well. We started them off, and they do it, but I think they do it every third year. It's not quite the same. So that was how it started, and Ursinus paid for the whole thing for 3 years, and the women were paid who came to present. The interesting thing is, I didn't realize, I guess I thought this would just magically work. What works is the networking. The fact that the students who come go home with someone other than their own coach who is a mentor. That's one thing. And they also go home with each other. And so they're apt to bump into each other in years to come. And that has made it work. So it was something that I really didn't plan, but that's somehow how things work.
Yes, and I'm glad you created this program and then passed the baton on to us. Plug Snell Shillingford this year will be on January 8th through the 9th. Stay tuned for more information for that. You always give so much wisdom, and I just love hearing you speak. What advice would you give young women out there who may be interested in going into the world of athletics?
Good question. I think I'd say that you need to know everything you can know about your sport. If you're talking about coaching, you need to find that out. You need to know what's going on, not just in your sport, but in the field of education, in intercollegiate athletics, and even politically. You need to know all of that. I didn't know that until I was well into my 40s. And the only excuse I can give is that I taught at two women's colleges where there wasn't any discussion about who was going to get the funds because we were it. I was at Immaculata when it was single sex, and then of course at Bryn Mawr, which is still single sex, and I think will remain that way. So that was probably part of it.
Yeah. As we talk about Title IX over the last couple of weeks, we've been saying how important it is to celebrate, but also look toward a better tomorrow. What advances would you like to see in the world of women athletics as we look toward the future?
So I think financing people who speak and help with women, I think that's a part of it. I think getting involved. They have to, it can't just be teaching the X's and O's of the sport. I mean, I could do that. I was good at that, but it wasn't enough. You have to know what's going on. I think that's
It's
important.
always nice to talk with you and sit down. Everyone, you can catch a new episode of the Centennial Conference Corner each and every week at centennial.org or Centennial Conf on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.